Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of BC Buckets. I'm Matthew Brune, and joining me once again is Colin Mitchell. Colin, today we have a very, very interesting versus episode here. We have Bilal Coulibaly and Rayan Rupert, two, French wings.
Mm.
Koulibaly's playing for Mets 92 with Victor Wembanyama. Rupert is playing for the New Zealand Breakers. For those who maybe remember, that's where LaMelo Ball played when he played in Australia. So two players playing in professional leagues that have similar builds, 6'6". Koulibaly 7'2" wingspan, Rupert 7'3" wingspan. But I feel like a lot of people are going in different directions with these two guys, right?
Yeah,
Koulibaly is kind of rising on draft boards, Rupert maybe dropping a little bit. Where do you want to start when comparing these two players?
I think we should just start with the things that how similar they are because they are
Mhm.
very similar players. I mean, you already mentioned their wingspan, height, whatever you want to call it. Both of them are defensive athletes, make huge impacts on both or on the defensive end of the floor. I would say Koulibaly is more athletic in terms of getting the rim and things like that, but Rupert doesn't. He's not. He's holding them. He's holding his own in that sense.
Yeah.
Both of them can't really shoot. Both of them don't really have an in between game.
Yeah.
I would say. I mean, that's pretty much what they are, right? They're very raw prospects that can defend and are long. And
Yeah.
they're weird. It's weird when you see a guy like Coulibaly moving up to, where's he moving up now to? I mean, I've seen him as high as like, 15,
Yeah.
14. And for a player that is a very big athlete and has a defensive impact, but not much else. It's weird to see, I would say.
So yeah, let's start with Koulibaly real quick because I think you summed up the similarities well. Yeah, I mean you summed up some similarities well. I have a couple of differences that we'll get to in a bit. But as far as Koulibaly goes individually, it's hard because I watched a couple Mets 92 games, and I obviously watched the ones with Victor earlier as well. But when you watch the games, he just kind of sits in the corner offensively. It's incredibly like low usage. They don't run things for him. He has to get everything as a cutter. So that was my first impression. Was like, all right, well, he just doesn't do anything. And so obviously we're talking about a 19-year-old kid that can play defense, but offensively, I'm looking for something other than maybe just a cut to the rim on offense. But then I went back and I sent this to you. I watched his game against it was the U18 French team against the California club. I don't remember where it was, but it was last summer, so about
Yeah.
9 months ago. And Bilal Coulibaly was on a court with Bronny James and some other top players. That's where Bronny had that dunk where he was like drifting to the side. Coulibaly was the best player on the court. 25 points, just destroyed people defensively. And I'm like, okay. And then I went on to read and listen to stuff that said he was having really good years when he was in the U21 league in France. And so all of this to say, it feels like, and I'm starting to understand why people are raising him on the board because there's a realization that, okay, he's just taking a second to adjust to playing with pros. That's what it feels like. It feels like, all right, he's not being used, but he's adjusting. And when he plays people of his age level or that are, under 21, he dominates games. Like he's really, really good. So if you get that natural progression, he's going to be able to play at a high level when he's 23, 24, and, obviously playing with contemporaries at that point. So that's the interesting thing. That's why he's kind of rising. We'll get to Repair in a second, but I want to get that out of the way with Coulibaly. It's like an overarching standpoint and he's starting to play better too. I think I've mentioned
He
this
is he is
before. It's
starting
like
to play better.
the finals, the playoffs, he's starting to show a lot more with Mets 92, and I think more opportunity for him. He will continue to show how good he can be offensively.
Yeah, I agree and disagree
Mhm.
with a lot of what you said. I obviously agree with the fact that he's going to dominate competition that is his contemporaries, right?
Because physically,
Physically,
he's
exactly, and that's why
yeah,
I think is because physically he's insane. He's crazy finisher. He's athletic. He has some bounce. He's super long. All of that. I cannot see him becoming any type of shooter in the NBA in any level, anywhere. And it's not just because of his numbers. I mean, you look at his form; it looks awful,
yeah,
and it doesn't look like it's something that can be salvaged. And that's why it's to me, he seems like the player that can either just all of a sudden turn around and just be what we can call him like baby honest, right? Like
hmm
just like the super raw prospect that's athletic, has no shot. or he could be the guy that Giannis doesn't turn out to be, and he's just out of the league. Basically, he's an athletic, I guess defensive stopper, if you want to call him that. And the thing that Giannis has, that if we're going to compare the two, that Coulibaly doesn't have, is his playmaking ability. I would say obviously he's shorter, and his handle is really bad. He's an 18.1% turnover rate. I mean, these are all things that, being an athlete and playing against younger players, I mean, we already see it now with OTE, right? The Thompson twins. They're dominating competition. And that's not to say they're not talented, but they're dominating competition because they are clearly more athletic, more skilled, yes, than their contemporaries. But, when you go to a men's league, that's when the things really show. And jumping from, the Mets 92 to the NBA is only going to show the difference. The difference between a guy like Wemby and Coulibaly is that Wemby, he passes all the eye tests when he's playing with pros. He's the MVP.
Yeah.
Coulibaly's not the MVP.
And so let's talk about Rupert a little bit, because I think you covered everything pretty well with Coulibaly. The offense is, like I said, it's kind of just he doesn't do anything on Mets 92.
Right.
So you're projecting a lot, and that's what makes it so difficult. Is I think he's 35% of catch and shoot, 61% at the free throw line, no in between game. We talked about this. For Rupert, it's interesting because he's also not heavily used on his pro team. For the Breakers, he comes off the bench pretty much. The Breakers are a good team in the NBL, obviously, but we obviously saw LaMelo Ball have a good year stint there. Rupert comes off the bench, and he's kind of just there to play defense in a sense, but when he gets the ball, I feel like he has a lot of control, and that's the biggest difference between Coulibaly and Rupert right now. If we start comparing them, is Rupert has a much better sense of offense, has better offensive awareness, and just is a better ball handler. I think he was a guard growing up, and then he obviously grew into his body. So you see that a lot more. Rupert's game is he's solid with the ball. He at least doesn't throw the ball away as much. Plays with good pace. You just see the feel with Rupert.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the difference. That's something that can translate to the NBA on top of defense. Like, you need to have some type of role in offense, whether that's a shooter, you can be a playmaker, and whatever. And I feel like that's what Rupert has, is he's able to use as his body fluidly, and whereas I feel like Coulibaly can't yet. The thing is, though, that Coulibaly has over Rupert is the fact that Rupert got played out of the playoffs because he couldn't shoot. Obviously, Coulibaly has all these other athletic things that he can do to make an impact on a game. Rupert doesn't have quite the athleticism.
He's not as explosive.
Right, exactly. So he's not going to get to the rim as much. In fact, he likes to shy away from contact. And if he's not hitting threes, it's almost worse than Coulibaly, despite his form being better. And I think he projects better as a shooter. But if it doesn't project better, then, same boat, right? You have a defensive guy who can have the ball in his hands, but if you have guys sagging, 5 feet off of you, what does that do?
Yeah. So I think, for Rupert, I think you covered it up well. I mean, they're similar in a lot of ways. I do think he's a worse finisher, like you said, doesn't go through contact, doesn't draw fouls, isn't as strong, I don't think, as Coulibaly. So for the two, who do you have higher on your big board right now? Who do you like better as a prospect?
I think the obvious pick has to be Coulibaly, and that's only because he's a freak athletically and has shown that is the instant thing that can instantly go to the NBA. Whereas Rupert is a good defender, but he's also in the NBL, and he got played off the court.
Yeah, it's interesting because we were talking. I thought you were gonna go Rupert for a bit.
I think his floor is higher.
Okay, I think that's fair. Coulibaly, yeah, I think you summed up it well. Coulibaly, the difference to me is the explosiveness as an athlete. Like, there is a level of slasher that he can get to, and I think he started showing it the past couple weeks, the past month, with Mets 92. Is I pulled up his highlights from the finals game a couple days ago, and he was able straight off the bounce to get to the rim in a half court setting, which never ever happened in the past, previous 4 months. Like, he wasn't just in the half court taking guys off the dribble 1-on-1. He starts to show that against one of the better teams in all of Europe in the finals. And that's where I'm just like, he looks like he's putting it together. It looks like it's there for him. And once he's 19 years old right now. They're both about 19 years old. I think Coulibaly's birthday is coming up, but we're talking about give him another 2 years, and I'm extremely bought in on his defense. I think he's a better defender than Rupert. I don't know
Yes, I
if you
agree.
agree, but I
I
think
agree.
he's more aggressive, has better instincts, gets more deflections. So he's a better defender. He's a better slasher. He just there's more of a defined way that he can make an impact in the NBA, and it may take a couple years, and we might rely on the shot to come around, but ultimately, I just see a more visible path for Coulibaly and being like, all right, this guy is far too athletic and too dynamic, I think, to fail, like completely fail. I don't know. I don't know who has a lower floor because I could see Rupert maybe not being strong enough at any point to get on an
Right.
NBA floor
Well, the thing I
or
have with the
shoot the ball.
repair is I feel like he can play guard in the NBA.
He still has to polish
No, he
his game
does.
a
I'm
little
not
bit
saying he
better.
doesn't have to, but I still see the
Yeah.
ability to be a guard, which I think if in time, like if you could say 2 years, what's their floor? I'd say that 2 years repairs floor is a what even if it's a third option as a guard, I feel like he could go out there and play combo guard. Whereas I don't think Coulibaly could.
It's all right, let me see where we're going to go to here. What are the comps for Coulibaly right now?
Literally all I have written is 2013 Giannis. That's what I have written down.
You and this Giannis
I love the comp.
comparison. All right, I got one for you. It's hard. It's really hard.
Because
Which
he's
is
so
what makes
raw. It's such a
it's what
raw
makes it
prospect.
so difficult because he could develop in a variety of ways here. I have OG Anunoby written down.
Mm,
I think from a defensive standpoint, I think it's fair. Offensively, Anunoby's taken it to another level. But Anunoby coming out of college was not a scorer,
right.
right? And then I have written down Tayshaun Prince. What's wrong? Tell me what's wrong with that comp.
Tayshaun Prince hits threes.
Did he?
Yeah.
Did he? What did Tayshaun shoot from three?
It doesn't matter what he shot because Coulibaly doesn't shoot threes. This 34% is such a deceiving number. He was 15 of 43 from three, and he was 4-16
Okay,
when
no.
guarded.
I mean, look, Tayshaun for his career shot 37% from three.
Right, exactly.
But
Tayshaun Prince.
defensively,
Sure. Sure.
long arms. I mean, Prince was at 6'9". Like, I see it.
Tayshaun Prince.
I see it. I see it.
Wow. That almost hurts me that you even.
I mean, you have Giannis.
Because I think he's that raw. No one thought Giannis
Yeah.
was going to be MVP in 2013.
But Giannis,
That's why I'm not comparing him to now.
The problem. This is the problem.
Right.
This is the problem with these two players.
Yeah.
We're banking on them becoming Giannis because anything less than Giannis in the NBA, if you can't shoot, limits your ceiling so much.
You're out of the league.
You're basically out of the league. Like it's so hard to find 6'6", and that's why the two guys I just said, Anunoby and Prince, can shoot.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, for both these guys, if they cannot shoot the basketball, like how good would Kawhi have been if he couldn't shoot threes?
Right.
Right? Coming out of college, I was like, all right, this guy can clearly defend. He's a great defender, but how is he going to get on the court? Oh, he can shoot. Like that's what developed. That's what made him a great player. So for me, it's like, how do you evaluate these two guys? And I'll throw in the Thompson twins as well, because those four guys, Amen Thompson, Asar Thompson, Bilal Coulibaly, and Rayan Rupert, all in a similar vein of like 6'6" guys that are super athletic, but can't shoot.
Right.
And are all very good defenders. I think Amen's probably the worst of those four defensively.
Yeah.
Rupert, but yeah. And so it's like, how do you project here? And I think all four of them will take a couple years to know the answer to that question.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to know until they're 21 years old if they are going to be able to stick in the league. And if they are, they will have gotten substantially better at shooting, playmaking, creating for themselves in a lot of ways. So that's what makes it difficult with these guys is how are they going to progress? And they have to be able to shoot. They have to be able to dribble the ball much better than what they do. And so that's why Rupert is an interesting one. And that's why I don't really get Rupert dropping all the way out of people's like top 25. I
Yeah,
think KOC put it at, what was he at,
37 or
37?
something like that.
I'm like, that's a big drop. It's
No,
a
it definitely
big
is.
drop.
Yeah, I have my comps for Repair if we're moving on.
No, go ahead.
I actually have OG for Repair
Repair?
because he's a better shooter. In terms of mechanics, I know the
Yeah.
percentage sort is good, but you buy the shot a lot more when you look at it in my eyes. And then a second one, because I mentioned the guard, and I texted you about this last night. I actually have Killian Hayes. Killian can't
I
shoot.
like that.
Killian can't shoot. Obviously, his playmaking is way better, but I think he's a guy that can be disruptive on the defensive end. And as long as you can make the right reads and you have shooters around you, if you can develop that handle, why not? And that's where I think the floor is better. I don't think the ceiling is better because obviously with Coulibaly, I think that the ceiling is, I have multiple time All-Star for that, whereas I have borderline All-Star for Repair
as a ceiling.
Yeah.
Okay. That was good. That was good. All right. I think that wraps up the episode. I think we covered everything pretty well. I also have Coulibaly higher than Rupert on my board. I think I'm gonna have Coulibaly top 15 by the end of it. Rupert, I'm not sure right now, but I can't see myself dropping him out of the top like 21, 22.
Yeah.
Like I think I will have him in the top 20. I think.
Yeah.
I think. So, all right. That's all we have for y'all today. Hope y'all enjoyed the episode. Check out the other videos on our channel before the draft, June 22nd. So we're recording this June 7th. So you still got a couple weeks to check out all the content, check out all the videos. Let us know what you think in the replies below. Let us know which wing you would take, Coulibaly or Rupert. Not Rupert, like Colin wants to say, Rayan Rupert. But anyways, that's all we got for today. Hope you enjoyed it.
That's his out of the league name, Rayan Rupert.
Yeah, when we do the look back in 10 years, it'll be like, all right, where's Rayan Rupert?
Yeah, who's this Rayan Rupert guy?
Yeah. All right, but yeah, thank y'all for joining us. We'll talk to y'all later.